Hey everyone, AC Glenn here with Team Futaba USA. Today we're going to do a quick build on the new SkyLeaf ST. It's a profile foam trainer, 3D style airplane. It's going to come in right under 250 grams for those of you that care. 3S powered, 9-inch prop. So we're going to open it up and do a build here. So when you open the box, you're going to see all of your foam parts, your hardware bag, which we'll set to the side. Got both your wings, your tail, rudder, horizontal fuse, both pieces for your vertical fuse, your two side stiffeners, your wing spar, and your two elevator and rudder pushrods, along with some really nice carbon landing gear. Those back to the side here. So right now, what we're going to do first is we're going to set a lot of this to the side, just right now. What we want to leave out is surfaces that are hinged. So you got your wings, your elevator, and then your rudder. What you're going to do is take these, fold them like that. You're going to take both ailerons, fold them like that, sit them on top of each other, and then we're going to take some weights, put some weights on top of them. We're going to take the elevator again, so we're going to fold it like that. Put weights on both of those. Then we're going to take our rudder. As you can see, the rudder is hinged on a separate piece that's separate from the actual fuselage. So we're going to, like I said, fold that over. Actually, let's put one of these. By doing this, it's going to allow the hinges to free up, so the servo doesn't really bind or anything while it's trying to move the surface. So next thing I would say we're going to do is we're going to take all of our servos and we're going to go ahead and find center on them, put the servo arms on them. It just makes life a little bit easier as you get into the build. So you will notice that with the kit, there's two servos that are exactly the same. That's going to be your elevator and rudder servo. And there's going to be a separate servo that looks a little bit bigger, and that's going to be for your ailerons. So we're going to go ahead and unwrap these. Then grab a transceiver here and a receiver. So like I said, the two smaller ones are going to be elevator and rudder. So we'll take the aileron one and we'll go ahead and plug it in channel 1. Elevator will go in channel 2. Rudder will go in channel 4. I also have our motor speed controller combo here, so I'm going to use it to power the receiver here. So we'll plug that in channel 3. Little 3 cell here. Go ahead and plug that up. Let's make sure they're all going in the right direction. So right, left, okay. So that's a little center for the ailerons. We're going to take our little servo pack here. We're going to go ahead and pop the double-sided arm off for the ailerons. Put it on here. You're going to need to sub-trim this out a little bit, so alright, now that that's right, we're going to take our screw here. Once you have it centered, go ahead and put the screw on. So aileron servo's done. So we'll go ahead and pop that out of the receiver. Now let's see. So this will be elevator servo here. And if you look as you're doing this, if you take the horizontal fuse here and kind of put the servo in there just to kind of see, to make sure you have it going the right direction. So go ahead and slot the servo in there. On the elevator, the arm comes out of the top, which is this side of it, not this side. This is the bottom. So it'll come out of the top here. So you want to just make sure your servo is going the right direction. So that's up. So perfect. I'll set that back to the side. Go ahead and get us one of the half arms. So we have it going that way. Servo arms coming up. Go ahead and get it pretty much there. That one's actually pretty close. We'll take our screw. Go ahead and put the screw in here. And that's going to be elevator, so we'll pop that out, that to the side. Now, rudder's going to be a little tricky to look at. So if you take the top of the fuse here, top half of the fuse, again, what we'll do is just kind of slot that servo in there so you can see that's going to be your rudder, and it's going to come out of the left side of the fuselage here. So we just want to make sure we have it going the right direction. So that one is. We'll open our next bag of screws. We'll get another single arm out and servo screw. So go ahead and get that as close as we can to the center. So now that we got that one centered there, go ahead and put our screw in. So by the way, this is not building this exactly to the way the manual says. I've just found some things that make it a little bit easier for me. And I can build one of these in about an hour. So we'll go ahead and unplug our motor. Go ahead and set our motor and receiver to the side here. Set our battery to the side. We don't need it anymore. We're still going to wait on these surfaces to continue. But those just sitting wearing the hinge here. So what we are going to do is take both of our servos for elevator and rudder. We got our hardware bag here. This is where it's going to get a little fun because this bag is a little crowded. So make sure you got everything out of the bag. And you can sit the stuff that we really don't need at the moment to the side. So all the 3D printed pieces, the wheels, heat shrink, the ball and connectors, we don't need any of those at this present moment. What we do want is one of our little micro easy lock deals. And we're going to go ahead and put these on the servo arm now. That will make this process a lot easier than if it's already in the airplane. You have to do it. So we're going to slide our little black clamp on there. We're going to go ahead and throw the screw in. So both servos will end up looking like that when they're done. Go ahead and do it to the rudder one as well. Put our stopper on the back of it here. We're going to take another screw, put it in the top. All right, now the fun part. Just something else I like to do a little bit earlier rather than later. So we already have the aileron servo arm on. We're going to go ahead and pop this screw back out real quick. Make sure you take this arm off perfectly centered. in the kit, there's an offset arm for the servo, for the aileron servo. So we're going to take this offset arm here and our servo arm. It's kind of a press fit in there, but if you can see, I have the servo arm right on there now. What we're going to do, kind of how I like to do it, is we're going to take a little bit of medium CA, spread it out on here just a little bit, right? Then take our arm again. It's going to press fit down right in there. Try to get it as close to perfect level as we can. Take some kicker, go ahead and hit it there. So now, as you can see, the arm is pretty much perpendicular right there, so it's kind of perfect. So what we'll do now is go ahead and throw this back on the servo. So make sure you get it back in the same spot that you had it. If not, it's really no worries. You can kind of check it again later. So go ahead and put our screw back in. Alright, so screws back in now, and then we're going to also go ahead and put the little micro locks on these as well. So they'll go in the outer hole on this arm. So we put our black backing on here. I'll take and put a little screw in there for you, and then do the same to the other side. Alright, so that's on there. Take our black backing. And we'll put that on as well. Go ahead and push it all the way down. And we'll take another one of our smaller screws. Go ahead and put that in as well. Just for now. It doesn't need to be tightened, but a thread. Alright. So now, all of our servos are theoretically done. So now it's probably a good time. We can go ahead and pop our weights off here. All the weights are popped off. First thing we're going to do is set the rudder and elevator to the side for now. We're going to take our centrifuge. We're going to turn it upside down here. And as you can see, while you're building this, each wing has these bubbles here. This wing has larger bubbles. The other wing has smaller bubbles. You can kind of see the difference there. So we're going to lay them in their respective places. Just check fitment here real quick. Looks pretty good. All right, we're going to pause right here. Alright, now we're going to get into actually building the airplane itself. So just discussed, make sure that you're matching these bubbles up in there. Like I said, one's larger, one's smaller. So take and pop that off there. And take and set our fuse vertical like that. Take our mediums, that. And we're just going to put us a nice bead of glue there. Then you're going to line these up perfectly. Line them up much like that. And then just go ahead and hit it with some kicker. Just make sure that they stay as flush as you can. That's it. So now you have that joint is now done. Give it a little more time to cure. And we're going to do the same with the other side. So we're going to take our zap here. Go ahead and give us a nice bead on here. And we're going to do the same as we did with the other side. So we're going to go ahead and get that in there, like I said, as flush as we can. We're going to hit it with some kicker. Alright, let it dry. Let's do our best not to glue this to the table. Alright, so let's flip it on the other side. I like to just for me, I like to go ahead and put another bead of glue kind of down the same seam again. Alright, on both sides. And then I take my finger and just kind of rub that in there just to make sure we got a good bond. Go ahead and hit it with some kicker again. And do the same with the other side. Hit it with some kicker there. Okay. So now your wings are attached. Alright. So next what I would do, and this is just me, like I said, this is a little out of order of how the manual shows you. But next we're going to go ahead and put the elevator on. So same thing, it's got a bubble right here, just so you don't get it, upside down or wrong. And it has the matching kind of port there, so you can glue it in there just like that. So what we're going to do, take our zap again, and then go ahead and put some nice bead on there. You can go ahead and spray kicker on the end of it there, so that when you actually get it right, it's already trying to kick off for you there. So now we have basically our horizontal stab, horizontal fuselage, and both wings are now together. So next what we're going to do is find our knife. And there's a couple slots in this main wing spar cutting here that we're going to need to cut open. It's just material that's left over in the bonding process, in the process of putting this together. So we're going to go ahead and cut these slots open. So now your fuse kind of has that little mouth there. Almost. So now we're going to take our wing spar. It is a wooden wing spar. It's pretty strong for what we're doing here. Go ahead and we're going to slot that in all the way at the end. We're just going to test fit it here. Looks like it's fitting pretty good right there. So now here's the tricky part. I'm not going to do this with thin CA. I prefer doing it with nothing. Also, while we're doing this, we're going to take some weights here and just kind of lock the airplane down in a decent spot so we know it's good and flat. What you're going to want to do, and you can do this one of two ways. Like I said, you can actually put this in with thin CA. What I like to do is get some medium here. And we're just going to crisscross back and forth across the spar. Crisscross back and forth across the spar there. Let it get down in the groove there as well. Take our finger, like I said, rub over the top just a little bit there. Hit it with some kicker. And we're going to go further down the wing. I'm just going to hit it with some kicker there. So try to get it down in the slot here. But I go back and forth across, kind of open it up and let it wick down in there, and then hit it with some kicker. Right. Now we're going to come down here and do the other side too. and forth down there. You can kind of rub your finger down and just clean off any excess that's overflowing. Hit it with some kicker. Alright. Now that we've hit it with some kicker goes, let's go ahead and go to the table. Pull the weights off. We're going to flip the whole thing over. We're going to put our weights back on. Oops, almost lost some screws here. And now we're just going to go back across it. Just filling in any gaps it may have on the top side. Kick it there. Again, let's make sure we didn't glue it to the table. Alright, perfect. Some weights off to the side here. Now, next step. We're going to lay it back inverted. We're going to go ahead and plug our radio receiver combination up one more time. So this is the speed controller as a regulator here. So plug elevator back in the channel 2. Alright, so good lesson to learn. Remember which one's which. So that was actually the rudder servo that I just plugged up, and not the elevator servo. So perfect, there's the elevator servo. So what we're going to do is you can go ahead and unplug it. I just want to verify which one I had here. Set all that back to the side. Go ahead and take your elevator servo, push that arm all the way close. And then we're going to put it right in its slot here. Right? So now in its slot, so as you can see, there's a slot here for it. We're going to go ahead and put it in there. Lay the fuselage back down flat. Okay, big one. The servo lead coming out from it, you just kind of want to run it off on this side of the fuselage on the wing, okay? And that'll make sense later as we get into finishing it. So now we're going to take our medium CA. We're going to go ahead and put a nice bead around the edge here just to get the servo and glue it in the spot. And then let's just hit it with the kicker there. Alright, fun. Now we've gone through the majority of the fun part. So now we're going to go ahead and take our bottom of our fuselage, right? And let's just test for it. Let's just see how it fits. Let's just make sure that we're lining it up with the front here, so that these surfaces are actually flush. So we're going to go ahead and line it up there. Now, fun part. Let's take some weights. If you have something, you know, a small LiPo battery or something will work. We're going to go ahead and just take a few weights here. I'm just going to weigh it down, just like that. So now that it's, because they're slotted, when you weigh it down like that, it actually gives you a nice, everything's pretty much straight. All right. So we're going to go ahead and pop it off here. We're going to take our medium CA again. Go ahead and we're going to start gluing this one on. So it's going to be on all the flat surfaces here. You can even put a little bit on top of the servo. All the way down. all the way down to the tail here. So good. So we got that in there. Let's re-slot in the vertical fuse here. And what we can do is go ahead and hit it with the kicker there. Just make sure that that got flush. And as you walk, go down it with your kicker, so make sure you're keeping it flush to the fuselage there. So nice and flush to the fuselage. And so you can take a 90-degree angle and see, because you did it that way, everything is 90 now. Everything is basically pretty much perfect, as perfect as it's going to get, right? So we have that done now. Let's go ahead and pop our weight back off. Now, remember our aileron servo. And again, I did this backwards. So we are going to pull this back off again. My apologies. I will put a note here in this video so that you guys don't do this more than once. Oops. Drop that screw here. Okay, we'll be fine. I'm gonna pop our arm back off again. Take the aileron servo, go on the top side of the airplane. You're gonna push that on through. So now your aileron servo is in its slot here, right? You can actually pull it down just a little bit here and put your arm back in. So the angled portion is going to be facing the front of the airplane, like so. So I'm going to get it back on here as close as possible. Right. As you can see, our fuselage popped up just a little bit right there. So we're going to take some more medium here. And you're probably going to run into this a little bit. Take some more medium and just put it back along that bead there so that it all stays flush. One thing you're also going to want to do here, because I just noticed that it didn't actually go all the way through here, is you're going to want to make sure that your servo lead goes up first. So let's make this a little bit easier. Well, up towards you, so towards the bottom side of the airplane. Now we have our servo back in, our arm back on. And at this point, you can go ahead and get it back centered down, put your screw back on, and then you're going to take your medium and go ahead and glue the servo in as well. I usually take the servo and actually just on the sides over here, you can put some glue on it there. And go ahead and hit it with a little kicker, make sure it's good and flush in there. Get our excess glue out there. So now, in the kit, there's going to be two horns that are connected together, just like that. We're going to want to go ahead and cut those separate from one another. And just cut the excess tab off of them there. Right. Now, on each aileron, there is a slot here. And that's for your horn. What you're going to want to do is go in and just kind of, with a knife, just kind of open it up just a little bit there. to take our control horns. We're just going to test fit them down in the slots, just like so. Let's just make sure they fit all the way down in our slots. All right, so those fit down in there perfect. So let's pull them back out. Let's hit them with a little CA here. Put them back down in their slots. One thing you want to make sure is that in these, they have a hole in them. Just make sure that's right over the center of your hinge line there. So we got this one. Make sure that sits right in the center of the hinge line. Hit a little accelerator there. Now, in your hardware bag is going to be these two shorter carbon arms. We're going to need these, and then we're going to need a set of ball links for it. These ball links are kind of just press fit in. They come kind of hung on a tree there. So you want to take these, cut them off. Cut that off, and then that's trash there. Now what we're going to want to do is take our carbon rod here. On one end of it, go ahead and just dab a little bit of glue on here. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, maybe half an inch long. We're going to take this ball link, and it has an edge on it that is kind of half moon style. You're going to sit that on the carbon arm, and you want to get it as far up as possible. Go ahead and hit it with a little kicker there. So that's one. On the second one, you're going to want to do the same thing. Just a little bit of CA on there. Take it on the half moon side, lay that side down flat on the carbon rod. Oops. As far forward as you can get it. Once you have it on there, go ahead and kick that a little bit. Now, also in your hardware bag is some heat shrink. We're going to take the heat shrink, and we're just going to cut us a couple pieces just longer than the length of the actual ball link is. We're going to slide them down on the rod, and then actually slide them over the ball link here, just on the edge there. So you can kind of see it's just slid down about maybe half to 3/4 of the way down. And we're going to take the heat source and just heat that down there. So you're good on that one. Put the heat shrink on the second one there. And take it. Just heat that down there. Okay. Alright. Now, basically ready to set up the ailerons at this point. So, you remember I had you put the easy links in there? We're going to go ahead and back that screw up just a little bit. Slide our push rods into the easy link. That screw a little further than planned. So the ball link nub is going to push into your control horn on the outside, so towards the wingtips of the airplane. You're going to go ahead and push that in on there, and come across over here on this one, push it in over there as well. What I really like to do is take the airplane and slide it as close to you as you can, so that the servo is just barely hanging off the edge of the table. I'm just going to put a weight there, and a weight there. And we're just going to get these ailerons as flat as possible. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten down the screws that are in our easy links. So go ahead and tighten them down so that the ailerons are flush with this horizontal fuselage here. And at the wingtips, go ahead and now they're tight. Now basically your aileron setup is done at that point, right? So both ailerons are set. You can actually throw them back and forth here. Remove this screw, but we'll go ahead and leave them flush there for right now. All right, now we're going to take our rudder servo. There's a slot here for your rudder servo. You want to make sure that you run the extension or the servo lead for it out on the same side as the other ones. Actually, before we get too far, let's not do that just yet. We're going to take 1/2 of our fuselage stiffener on the side. If you look at this just right, it has a 45 angle on the sides. We're going to take that, we're going to lay that down pretty much flush right there so that it's at a 45-degree angle kind of right there. That'll help get the last little bit of stiffness that we want in the fuselage, but we're only going to do it on one side. So the side of the airplane that we have our extensions ran out, our servo leads ran out of, we're not going to do it on that side yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to put some CA down on each side, get it lined up, and then hit it with some kicker. So I'll do that now here. Which one takes all the way down here. Careful trying to get any glue on your hands. As you can see, I'm pretty terrible at that. So we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to go pretty much back as far as you can. Get that fuselage just lined up just right there. Looks good. I'm going to take it and go down and hit it with some kicker. So now your fuse is pretty much straight. A few little doodads here that we'll see. You want to be careful with this. So this horizontal fuselage piece popped out, so it looked like the fuse was not as level as it should have been, and that's because it was not fitted down into its slot. So you want to be careful with that. So make sure you get enough glue on that. So now, looks a whole lot straighter. Got a little bow to it, but nothing to worry about. Now what we're going to do is take our rudder servo. Like I said previously, we want to make sure that the cable comes out the same side as the other one. So we're going to go ahead and drop it down in its hole. So it's just the hole just behind where the elevator servo currently is. So we're going to drop it down in there just like that. Just make sure we get it, make sure it's got a good fit in here and that it's laying flat. And we should be good to go. There we go. Make sure it's slide down in there pretty doggone good. We're going to take in some more CA. I just do just the sides of the rudder. They don't have enough torque or power to really rip themselves loose. You want to make sure you got it good and flat. Then again, hit it with some kicker there. So now you have a good portion of this airplane done at this point. So one of the things that I like to do from this point is go ahead and put the top fuselage on, because then you can start setting up your tail surfaces. This is going to be the same way. It all slots in just perfectly, but we want to make sure that it lines up. We want to make sure that we get it lined up in the front here so that it's flush there. We want to make sure we get that down in there. You may have to slowly, trim a few of these edges back do it attached back just a little bit to make sure we get it to fit. What we're going to do with this top fuse is I'm actually going to do it in stages. So I'm going to do the front half here. So it's a little bit easier to get it slotted down in here correctly. So kicker on there, make sure it's seated flush with the fuse, and then up front it's seated good too. So make sure that part is, and then we'll just slowly work our way back with the glue and accelerator. Make sure that's good and flush with the horizontal fuse there. Make sure it's holding. And then just continue to work your way back with it here. So go ahead. Just slowly work your way back. Kicking. Make sure it's good and flush. Make sure we keep it flush. I'm able to kick it there. All the way back to the tail. Go ahead and kick it over down here. Then just finish your last little portion off here. Oops. I just got myself in line there. It's a rookie mistake. Just make sure, we'll just check it, make sure it's flush all the way down. So we're good to go there. Pretty straight to me. If you see any kind of crookedness in here, you can kind of work it out on the phone a little bit. Depending on how bad it is, it's usually not too terrible. If you do get it in a place or two, go ahead and again throw a little glue on top of the servo here, just so it's joint as well. Check it out. Go ahead and got that done. Now, next fun part. We're going to take our rudder here. As you can see, it's two pieces. What we're going to want to do is we're going to match this up on both sides here. Make sure we get the two pieces matched vertical. Now, on this one, if you're watching closely enough in this video, this is actually a pre-production airplane, and the paint lines don't match up perfectly. But what you want to do regardless in that situation is you want to make sure that the top and bottom of the fuselage are matching up with one another. Just get a little unhappy with me spraying on a kicker around it. Back over here. But go ahead and take your CA here. Finish them down on here. And go ahead and spray some accelerator on the fuselage here. We're just going to line up this top perfectly. Just let it kick off there. And we're going to do the same on the bottom. we're just gonna let it kick off there. Make sure you're lining up that bottom piece good. So now we have a rudder on, right? So next what we want to do is make sure that we get these all kind of routed down towards the nose of the airplane, all of your servo leads here. Then next up, we're going to put the other half of the fuselage strengthener on, and then we'll get into the final push rod setup for the rudder and elevator. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put our other fuselage joiner down the side of it here. So let's go ahead and this will be the glue down. Remember, it's got the 45 angles, just like the last one that we did. We just want to make sure that we go ahead and get some glue on both sides of it. What I make sure we do is take this piece. Now we're going to line it up with how far we went down with the other one. So just want to make sure you kind of line those up there. Kicker fell here. Should get that on there. Just make sure it's butted up against both pieces good. And now you have your other piece on there now too. So because these are a 2-piece kind of fuselage, or 3-piece really if you include the rudder, I'm gonna have to play with the foam edge to make sure that it's perfectly straight. So what we're gonna do next, at least next on my list, is we're going to take our 2 long push rods here, and we are going to find our 2 control horns. Right, so these are the ones that were separate. There's also a kind of a tail skid deal. Do not mix those up. There's only one of these. Other 2 actually match each other. So on the elevator, there's a slot in here just like it was for the ailerons. We want to take and just kind of open that hole up just a little bit there. Just make sure that we can get our control horn down in there nice and flush. Control horn looks flush, so go ahead and put a little CA on here. Little kicker on here. Now we're going to come on this side and do the same thing with the rudder. It's going to be on this bottommost kind of star area. You'll be able to see it. It's probably not going to show it very well in the video, but we just want to run a knife through there a couple times, like so. And again, on these horns, there's a flat side. You want that ran out, and you want this flat side on this one ran up. So go ahead and put a little bit of CA on there. And go ahead and slide it in our hole, get it nice and flush. Hit it with some CA. So now, for the time being, we can kind of set the airplane to the side. We're going to take our 2 longer push rods here, and then you kind of have this spider junction, and what they are is push rod guides. So we're going to take those, and then we're going to need another set of our ball links attached to our little tree here, and some heat shrink. So what you're going to want to do is on each push rod, I found it easiest to go through while these are still connected to the tree and attach them all to the push rod, kind of like so, and then you can cut them off from there. Just makes life a little bit easier to get them all on. So now they're all on there. We're gonna go ahead and cut 2 little pieces of heat shrink for the ball link again. Looks good. The excess to the side. Now we want to cut our ball links off of our little tree here. Take our push rod, a little dab of CA, or actually, we want to put our heat shrink on first. A little dab of CA here. Put just a little bit, like I said before, about a ½ inch on this rod. Take our ball link, U side down towards the push rod, all the way forward there. Hit it with a little kicker. Now, we're letting that kind of set up. We're going to take our other push rod and we're going to go through this exact same process all over again. So we're going to go here. Just go ahead and work our push rod guides all the way down the push rod before we cut them off. So the excess of that to the side. What I knocked down there, but I'll have to find it later. Heat shrink onto the push rod. Then move it out the way. Put a little bit of glue down here on the end of the push rod. Take our ball link, U side down. Sit right there on there, just like that. We're going to kick it a little bit. Now we're waiting on that one to set up. We're going to go back to our other one here. And we are going to go ahead and get the heat shrink over the ball link and carbon out. Let's just beat that up a little bit there to get it to set in place. Just a little added security. Set that one to the side. Now that this one's dry, we'll go ahead and slide this down. Now we're going to set it to the side there. We'll go ahead and get this heat shrink down as well. Close our flame up there. Now, let's go ahead and move stuff we don't really need out of the way. So we're going to take one of these. I'm just going to sit it kind of further forward there. What we're going to do now is we're going to move our elevator servo that we had kind of laying flat. I'm going to try and do it this way so you guys can see it. And we're going to take and put our push rod into our easy link real quick. We're going to take our ball link, just like on the ailerons, but it's going to press fit to the outside of the control horn, just like such. So you should have that kind of done now. Now we're going to take our guides here, and there should be 6 of them, and there's 6 very distinct cutouts in the fuselage. We're going to take and we're going to put a guide in each one. This is a little tricky to do because as you're putting them in, the one prior is going to try to slide out on you. So just try to always hold the previous one down. Before we go to the next one. Make sure they're all in flush with the horizontal fuse here. So now your guides are going to end up kind of looking like that there. And what we're going to want to do is take our CA in, and we're just going to want to put a little dab of CA on each one of those, right where they meet the horizontal fuselage right there. Push them down. Get them back level. Go ahead ahead and hit a little kicker. Let's make sure our pushrod is straight. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure our elevator is straight there. And then we're going to tighten down our micro link, easy link deal here. So that the elevator is level there. And then I would take a pair of side cutters and just give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of carbon left here. But go ahead and just cut the rest of that off. You're not going to need it. So now we're going to flip it around and do the exact same thing for the rudder. The rudder ball link is going to go on the top side of the rudder. Obviously, put the carbon right in your easy link first. And it makes selecting things just a little bit easier for you. Go ahead and get that level. I'm just going to tighten this one up right now because it's a little bit easier to do it this way with it tightened up. Get your easy link tightened up. Now, all of your push rod guides on this one are going to go on the vertical fuselage here, whereas before on the elevator they went on the horizontal fuselage. So I'm going to take and go ahead and, like we did before, we're going to fit each one of them into their slots. They're kind of predetermined. You'll see them. They'll make a whole lot more sense when you have the kit in front of you. So we're going to go ahead and get all 6 of our push rod guides down in there. You see them all, they're kind of lined up right there. Just like we did with the elevator. Take our CA, put a little dab on there on each one. Make sure they are flush with this vertical fuselage. And you'll see they kind of have a lip to them, so they'll fit flush here and kind of a little standoff deal. Just make sure they're all down and push so the push rod moves fluidly. And then just hit a little bit of kicker. And now both your aileron and elevator push rods are done more or less. We'll go ahead and get our rudder centered up here. We'll go ahead and tighten our easy link down. And again, the excess carbon here, give yourself 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. Go ahead and cut that off. You don't need it. All right, so we've gotten pretty good far here now. Now we're going to take our 3D printed motor mount here. And remember I was saying it was pretty big to make sure that all of these horizontal and vertical pieces were flush with one another. So what we're going to do now is take our CA. And it should just fit right on the nose here, but we want to make sure we get a good amount of CA on there. Right? Good lucrative amount. And then we want to put that on there nice and flush. So what I like to do to make sure that it's flush, go ahead and stand the fuse up kind of like this. And then just go ahead and kick it. Try your best not to glue this like I just did. But we want to make sure that we get the fuselage down. And this motor mount as tight as we can to the fuselage. Because that is your motor mount. So we got that all motor mounts on there nice and good now. Now, we're going to skip ahead and put our landing gear together. So, we have our carbon fiber landing gear. You're going to have to drill a hole in these landing gear legs. Just a small hole. I can usually knock it out with a hobby knife here. Try to make sure it's not too far down and it's centered. You can take it with a drill When you're letting your motor mount dry, go ahead and get these holes nice and set there. So you have a nice hole there. And we'll do it on this one too. Alright, once you have the holes down in there, we'll go ahead and pop our wheel pan pieces out. We're going to go ahead and glue those together. It just makes life a little bit easier. So we're going to want to keep them together as you're popping them out. That way you know which side is which. As you can see, on each side, 2 pieces are painted, 1 piece is just all white. That piece goes in the middle, kind of how they were on here. So take us a little bit of CA, just go around the perimeter here. Just a little bit of light around the perimeter. We'll take just our all white foam piece. We'll just line them up there, press them down so that they stick. On top of that piece, you'll do another little light bead. Then we'll take our other one here. Get that all lined up. Hit it with a little accelerator there. Make sure it's good and lined up so that it dries and it's more or less straight. And you have full wheel pan there. You can actually take these and sand them a little bit if you want to. It's really not necessary though. So we'll do again. This one. And just put a little light bead of glue on there. Get it nice and lined up. On top of that piece, we'll do another little light bead of glue. And then we'll get that side. We'll get it all lined up and sit it right before we hit it with accelerator. Get your accelerator and hit it there. Alright, so now you have 2 wheel pans. You don't need this foam piece anymore. Now here's the fun part. We're going to take, in the kit, there's 2 longer screws and there's 4 nuts that come in the hardware bag. So we're going to take 4 nuts, and then you have both your wheels, and you have look kind of like a plus symbol, but it's 2 pieces, and they're actually tied together there. So you're going to want to cut those open, cut them off, separate them from one another. So now you have these 2 pieces, and they both have ridges on the side. And just to kind of make it make sense for you here, the ridges kind of sit down in the wheel pan like that. That keeps the wheel pan straight. So what we're going to do is take our wheel, take our longer screw here. Like I said, I am building a pre-production model here, so these holes are a little tight, so I'm kind of putting it down on the table here and running the screw through the wheel. And you can kind of hold the wheel and run the screw all the way in. You're going to take one of your nuts. You're going to go ahead and put your nut down in there. Right. We're going to take one of these pieces, ridges out towards the head of the screw. I'm going to fit that on just like so. Then we're going to take and put that through our hole in our landing gear lid. Take our second nut for this side. We're going to go ahead and just get that nice and snug on there. So now it's nice and snug. Now, I want you to pay very close attention. We're only going to do this on one side right now. That's because this still has to fit down the fuselage. So on these tabs here, I'm going to take and put a little bit of CA on there just for the wheel pan. Go ahead and set them on there. So now you have one wheel pan realistically done. Now, we're going to do it to the other side, but not yet. Now there's some 3D printed kind of little airfoil shapes. They're flat on one side and then they're kind of built up on one side. We're going to take one of these and we're going to put it kind of airfoil side first. Go ahead and put it down in here so that the outline ridge side is up towards here, right? Let's move all of this back off to the side. What we're going to do is we're going to take our landing gear. There is a slot just behind the Aileron servo that this landing gear fits. What you're going to want to do is just check and make sure we got our gear at virtually the same height here. We're going to back our little kind of airfoil shaped looking deal off. We're going to hit this bond with some CA. Just get it around it liquidatively because this piece is actually going to butt up against the fuse like that. Make sure you got it all on here straight. Make sure they're at the same height, that we got even spacing on both sides. Hit it with some paper. Now, we're going to take our other airfoil piece, drop it down with the ridge side out towards, like I said, the wingtip. Take some more CA. Put it down in here on this side. I'm going to slide our airfoil piece down, hit it with some kicker. So now you have your landing gear virtually installed. But now we need to make up another wheel combination, right? So we're going to start back over again. Get our longer screw. I believe this is an M2 or 1.5, it may be. We're going to go ahead and, like I said, these holes were a little tight in my pre-production models. It's going to be fixed, but I just want to go ahead and get this screw on down here over the wheel. Oops, drop the wheel here. Go ahead and get the screw all the way down and flush with the wheel. Like I said, in the ones you're going to have, this hole should just be wide enough. If not, maybe take a little pin drill and just right through there, just open it up a little bit. I'll take our nut, go ahead and put it on the screw here, run it all the way down. We're going to take our kind of half a plus sign again, and we're going to run this one. So the wheel's going to be out here, so we're going to run this side out, ridges toward the head of the screw. Take our other nut, and then we're going to put this screw through our hole here in the landing gear. We're going to take our other nut here and just go ahead and get it nice and tight on there. Make sure everything's centered up. Then on our ridges on our wheel pant mount here, we're just going to put a couple dabs of glue on here. I'm going to go ahead and set our wheel pant down on there, make sure it's nice and flush. Hit it with some accelerator. So now we have our SkyLeaf sit on its gear. Alright, so we're pretty much done, pretty close. We're going to take our landing gear skid. In the back here, we're actually going to put it about half an inch forward of the hinge line, so there's no slot cut for this. So you're going to have to kind of take your knife and just kind of open up a little bit of a slot. Take your tail skid, you're going to want to slide it in that slot until it's flush. Put a little bit of CA on there. Get it nice and tight on there. So now you have your tail skid on as well. Alright, perfect. Now, we're basically in the home stretch here. So we're going to take our motor here and our 4 motor screws that come with it. And then again, we want to keep all of our electronic wires on the same side, so we're going to make sure that we got it on that side there. Put a screw down in there. I'm just going to go ahead and screw our motor on here. It's always the hard part. I have a magnetized screwdriver and the motor has paints in it, so it makes it just a little bit more fun to put together here. Get that hole started, put the screw started in the hole. Just go ahead. All got 4 screws in there. So now we have a motor connected. We're going to take our speed controller here, PCS 10. We're just going to go ahead, since both the motor and speed controller have full connectors on them, we'll go ahead and get these all plugged up. We'll take this double-sided stick tape here, cut us a little portion of it to go on the back of the speed controller, and then cut us another little portion to go on the back of the receiver. Put this here. Peel the back off of this side. And what we're going to want to do is just kind of tidy up the wires. They're a little bit long. Just going to kind of want to attach the speed controller right there, right in that area right there. And then we're going to use the Futaba R3004 SB receiver. Take some of our double-sided tape. Put it on the back there. I have found that it gets a lot easier if you go ahead and plug all your servos back into this receiver here. What I like to do is take the excess wire from everything. I'm just going to kind of push it back up in there. Back on this side of this 45 piece. Makes for a little bit of a cleaner install. But really, you want to get your receiver here. You want to go pin side back. And it's going to go right below the end. Kind of like so. As you can see, it's gotten pretty crowded here. But you can now take your antennas, run them up under your aileron push rod. As such. And then you can just take them off to the side. So what I like to do is just take, and you can take them off kind of on this wing, kind of opposite of one another. And really, that's it. At that point, what I like to do is take your lead here. You're going to cut a small hole in the top of the horizontal fuse so that it slides through. And then you're going to take and balance your airplane. It should balance just behind the spar here. What I like to do is take the battery, trace out an outline wherever it CGs at, trace out an outline here, and then cut it, and then slide the battery in so that the foam is kind of holding it in. So guys, this is your quick and dirty fast build of the SkyLeaf ST. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please hit us up on Facebook or give us a call at Futaba USA, or you can even reach out through our support page. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.